Your space affects you. The way you feel when you step into a room matters. If your space feels cluttered and unorganized, chances are you probably feel stressed out. It might just be on a subconscious level, but you probably are feeling stressed out. If the furniture feels crammed, you're probably going to gravitate towards other areas. From time to time, I find myself off-put by spaces in my home. Sometimes it's a corner or a closet, sometimes it's an entire room, sometimes it even feels like your whole house or your whole apartment. It can be easy to not notice, to subconsciously limit your time in that space or avoid the area altogether. Think about it. Is there an area or a space or a closet or an underneath of the bed in your house that you are avoiding, or that when you think about makes you feel a little stressed? Square footage for most of us is precious, and is it possible that you're wasting some of that precious square footage in your home because of poor organization, clutter, or bad feng shui? This is what was happening in this room. When we moved into this house, we actually had a roommate, and this was his room, but our roommate moved out literally over a year ago, and we knew right away we wanted to use that space for my boyfriend's computer. Shout out to the girls who have a man who is a gamer. We're soldiers for real. We wanted to use this space for his computer, and over time we ended up putting some dog crates in there, and we also put in a papasan chair, thinking that it would be a nice place to sit down, that I might come in the room and sit and read a book or scroll on my phone and hang out while he plays games on his computer. I don't think I sat in the chair once. It basically just started to collect dog hair, and the only person who sat in it was actually our dog Bogard. The room itself collects dog hair like it's trying to build a dog wig, and it just overall had really, really, really bad vibes. I found myself avoiding the room completely. So randomly on Saturday night at around 7 p.m., I looked to my boyfriend and I said, do you want to paint your room like right now? And he's really cool, so he was down. And that is how our 24-hour room makeover began. We got in the car, it was after 9, I think. It might have been 9:30. And we headed to Lowe's. I was a little worried that they would have already shut down their paint making center because they close at 10 and we were coming so close to close. I felt kind of like an asshole coming in at 9:30 asking them to mix paint. But the lady was still behind the counter, and she was actually very friendly and very helpful. I actually learned more about paint and now feel actually confident going and buying paint. I also took a dog that I was training with us, so Shiloh got to come along for the journey and practice some of his obedience while we hung out at Lowe's. We picked out the paint color, obviously, and then we also got a plastic drop cloth, 2-inch brush. We got one roller, and then we got a tray as well as the plastic inserts that you can put in the tray. They are a little wasteful, but they do make the process a lot easier. And then we also got, of course, a gallon of paint, and we got 2 energy drinks. The total was $84 for all of this. You could definitely spend less money on this project if you already had some rollers or paintbrushes at home, if you already had a paint tray at home. Just the gallon of paint could be anywhere from like $40 to $60. When we got home, it was a bit after 10, and so we put on some music and we started to clear out the room. We cleared out as much of the bigger stuff that we could, and then we kind of just smushed everything else into the middle of the room so that we had the walls to work with. Then it was time to tape the room. We wanted to go for a moody look. This was some of our inspiration of what we were going for. A lot of these inspo pics have built-in shelving when I've seen this kind of color going on before, and we didn't have that, but I thought at least painting the baseboards would give it more of that moody look. We also decided to paint one of the doors, but we decided to not paint one of the closet doors. I am still trying to figure out if that was a good choice or a poor choice. So let me know what you think, if you have an opinion on that, if you think that we should go back and paint the closet door in here. My boyfriend did all of the taping because he's better at it, and also frankly I feel like this is kind of a man's job. But by around 11:30 we were ready to actually paint, and we spent quite a while painting the rest of the room. We did not tape off the ceiling, which we definitely should have. We made some mistakes there, so we taped off the floor, but definitely should have taped off the ceiling. The next day we realized we definitely needed to do a second coat, but we had about a quarter of that gallon of paint left. So we went back to Lowe's to get another thing of paint. We got the smaller one, so there's the gallon, and we got whatever the smaller one is, a pint or a quart, I'm not sure. We also got this plant at Lowe's, which is so cute. My boyfriend said he wanted his first plant. I've been a plant mommy for a while, but I helped him pick out his first plant. We also found a chair on Marketplace that was near the Lowe's, actually very conveniently, so we went and picked up that chair from this very eccentric guy who had 3 huskies who were just outside. We got the chair. It was listed for $100. I asked for it for $80. This is a little bit of an aside, but I'm a big proponent of negotiating on Facebook Marketplace. I always send an offer that is lower than what they're asking for. Pretty much always. If you really want it and you're willing to pay what they're asking for it, then you could just offer them from the bat, because you do risk that they might say no altogether. But I always just offer something. They may ask for something in between, and that's still cheaper. Other lesson here is that we probably should have waited. We got the chair for $80. It is leather, it is comfortable, it is what we were looking for. But very similar chairs I found later that day and the next day for $30 to $50 on Marketplace. So usually I do wait a couple days when I see something I want on Marketplace. If it's like something very specific and I know I want it, I go and get it. But if it's something generic like a leather chair, I will wait days to weeks till I find one that is kind of exactly what I'm looking for and at the best price that I can get it for. This was definite proof that if we had just been a little more patient, we could have saved some more money on this. But my boyfriend was paying for it. It was for his space and he liked this chair. So $80, we're still very happy with the chair. It takes up less space than the Papasan, which makes the space feel that much more open. It's still really comfortable, and because it's leather, it's gonna be way easier to clean with the dogs coming in and out, and it's Bogart approved. After the second coat of paint dried, we started to put everything back in the room, which is of course the fun part. We already put, the chair back where the chair was, we put the shelves back where they were, the curtain back up over the window, the crates back where they were. It was all the little touches that I went in. I think when a space feels already kind of icky and bad vibes, we just kind of put stuff in there, and when we start to reset it and make it feel better, we start to put every little thing in a place where it looks the most aesthetically pleasing. So I had never done that in this room before. It was Tyler's space, do what you want, dude. But since we painted it and we were putting things back in there, I kind of went around and put all the little things in places that looked a little bit better and gave it a better vibe, and it really makes a big difference. So if you're watching this, you could totally, a big part of this makeover for us was the painting. That's, I would say 80 to 90% of what makes this room feel different is the fact that we painted it. But maybe you don't have the money for paint, maybe you don't have the time, maybe you're renting and you can't paint your room. And I still think that you can do a 24-hour budget makeover without that. I think you could do a free makeover if that's what your budget looks like, just by decluttering and moving things around. I've done that in my space before, and it really does make a huge difference when you put that intention into a space. I don't think you necessarily have to spend money. Also, if maybe your budget's 20 bucks, maybe you find a cool end table or you make some cool art to hang up. You can do a lot with a little, and it doesn't have to be something as drastic as painting a whole room a super dark, moody color like we did. This is just an example of how you can spend less than $200 and in 24 hours make a space go from drab to fab. But seriously, you can make a space feel way better. So this is the before, and this is the after. It's not drastic, but it does feel so much different. I enjoy being in this room more now. My boyfriend was so cute the day after we completed this. I found him just hanging out in there. He wasn't on his computer. He was just sitting in that leather chair hanging out, and he was like, I just like being in here. And it does have really, really good vibes in there. Even just having the door open and walking past the room in the hallway, it adds a different air to the home. So like I said at the beginning, I think it really does matter how we feel in our space. I'm really happy with this transformation. Let me know what you guys think, and hopefully you'll be a little inspired to mix up your space a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. This is quite literally my first YouTube video ever, so please like, subscribe, and leave me a hate comment below.